Hey, welcome back to Following Science, the podcast where we take scientific insights and break them down into real, actionable knowledge. I'm your host, Ritu Parle, and today we're going to talk about something that affects each and every one of us every single day: sleep. We've all heard the advice to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, but let's be real, how often do we follow that? Between work, school, social lives, family obligations, or just scrolling on our phones late at night, sleep is often the first thing we sacrifice. But as we'll discuss today, sleep is much more than just a period of rest. It's an essential part of our biology, with profound effects on everything from memory to mood to physical health. In today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the science of sleep, explore the health benefits of quality sleep, discuss the consequences of sleep deprivation, and finally, share some practical tips on how to improve your sleep hygiene. So, let's get started. Let's begin by talking about what's actually happening when we sleep. You might think of sleep as a passive activity, something we do when our bodies needs to shut down after a long day of work. But sleep is anything but passive. In fact, while our bodies are still, our brains are incredibly active during sleep. We can break sleep into two major types: non-REM sleep and REM sleep. REM meaning rapid eye movement, and throughout the night we cycle through these stages in roughly 90-minute intervals, repeating the cycle 4 to 6 times. So, what's the difference between these stages? Let's take a closer look, starting with stage 1. When we first fall asleep, we enter stage 1, which is light sleep. During this time, our brain waves begin to slow down, but it's still very easy to wake us up. This stage usually only lasts a few minutes, acting as sort of a transition from wakefulness to sleep. Next comes stage 2, which is a slightly deeper sleep. Our heart rate and breathing slows down, and our body temperature starts to drop. This is also the point where our brain begins producing bursts of rapid rhythmic brainwave activity called sleep spindles. These spindles are believed to play a role in memory consolidation, basically how our brain takes short-term memories and transfers them into long-term storage. This is actually why people tell us that, oh, if you have a test next day, oh, if you have a really big presentation the next day, you should get a lot of sleep because it's going to transfer the short-term memory of working on the presentation, working on that homework, and turn it into long-term memory, which is then going to aid you during the actual test or presentation. Then we move on to stage 3, or deep sleep, which is often referred to as a slow wave sleep, because our brainwaves slow down even further. This stage is crucial for physical recovery, because during deep sleep, the body works to repair tissues, build bone and muscle, and strengthen the immune system. This is also when the pituitary gland releases growth hormones, which plays a key role in cell regeneration and overall health. It's in this stage that we feel the most refreshed, and when we wake up, it's also the hardest stage to be woken up from. So if you've ever been jolted awake and felt completely disoriented, it's likely because you were in deep sleep. Finally, we reach REM sleep, where most of our dreaming occurs. During REM, our bodies and our brains become so highly active and almost as active as it is when you're awake that our body is temporarily paralyzed. This paralysis is thought to prevent us from acting out our dreams. Now, REM sleep is critical for brain function, especially for processing emotions and memories. Studies suggest that REM sleep plays a significant role in creativity, problem solving, and emotional regulation. This is why you often wake up with a solution to a problem that stumped you the night before. Throughout the night, we cycle through these stages multiple times, and in the first half of the night, we experience more deep sleep, while REM sleep dominates the second half. It's this full cycle that gives us the mental and physical restoration we need for the day ahead. So, now that we've understood the stages of sleep, let's talk about why sleep is so important. The truth is, sleep affects almost every system in our body. Let's break it down into 3 major categories: the brain, the body, and mental health. First and foremost, sleep is vital for brain function. While we sleep, our brain does a lot of housekeeping, processing memories, clearing out toxins, and maintaining neural pathways. In fact, recent research has shown that sleep helps clear away harmful proteins in the brain that build up during the day, particularly a protein called beta amyloid, which is linked to Alzheimer's disease. Think of sleep as your brain's nightly cleanup crew. It's also during sleep that the brain consolidates memories. Everything we learn throughout the day, whether it's academic information, new skills, or even emotional experiences, gets processed and stored during sleep. This is also why people often say, sleep on it, when you're trying to learn something new or solve a problem. Now, beyond the brain, sleep is essential for the health of our body. During deep sleep, the body releases hormones that helps repair tissues, muscles, and cells. This is also why athletes and those engaged in physical labor need plenty of sleep to recover and improve performance. Sleep also impacts the cardiovascular system because when we sleep, our heart rate and blood pressure drops, giving our heart a chance to get rest. Consistently poor sleep has been linked to high blood pressure, heart disease, and even strokes. People who get less than 6 hours of sleep a night are a significantly higher risk for cardiovascular problems. And of course, there's the impact on the immune system. Studies have shown that when we don't get enough sleep, our body's ability to fight off infections diminishes. That's why you're more likely to catch a cold or the flu when you're sleep deprived. Now, the connection between sleep and mental health is undeniable. Inadequate sleep has been linked to a range of mental health disorders, including anxiety and depression. When we don't get enough sleep, our brain's ability to regulate emotions becomes impaired, leading to mood swings, irritability, and heightened stress. Maybe that's why I keep getting those mood swings. But in fact, sleep disturbances are one of the earliest warning signs of mental health disorders. And conversely, improving sleep can often lead to a significant improvement in your mental health. So it's a two-way street. Alright, now let's talk about what happens when we don't get enough sleep. Because let's face it, we've all been there. Whether it's pulling on an all-nighter for a big project, binge watching TV late into the night, or dealing with insomnia, most of us know what it feels like to run on little to no sleep. So let's start with the most immediate effect of sleep deprivation, which is cognitive impairment. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to focus or make decisions after a bad night's sleep? That's because sleep deprivation directly affects the prefrontal cortex, or the part of the brain responsible for high-order thinking, decision-making, and problem-solving. In fact, studies have shown that being awake for 18 hours straight can impair your cognitive performance as much as having a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. At 24 hours without sleep, it's comparable to a blood alcohol level of 0.10%, which is over the legal limit for driving in most places. But the consequences of sleep deprivation go beyond just feeling foggy. Chronic sleep deprivation has been linked to a range of serious health issues, including obesity, diabetes, and even a shortened lifespan. Sleep deprivation messes with the body's hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, which regulate appetite. When we don't get enough sleep, ghrelin, which signals hunger, increases, and leptin, which signals fullness, decreases. This leads to overeating and weight gain. It also impacts the immune system. People who don't get enough sleep are more likely to get sick and take longer to recover from illnesses. So sleep is a critical time for your body to produce cytokines, which are proteins that help fight infection and inflammation. Now, sleep deprivation also has a profound impact on mental health because even one night of poor sleep can increase feelings of anxiety and depression. Over time, chronic sleep deprivation can exacerbate these conditions. Studies have shown that people with insomnia are 10 times more likely to develop depression and 17 times more likely to suffer from anxiety. And it's not just mood disorders. Sleep deprivation is also associated with increased risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. So what can we do about it? How can we improve the quality of our sleep and make sure we're getting enough of it? Well, one of the best ways to improve your sleep is to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This helps regulate your body's internal clock, also known as your circadian rhythm, and makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up naturally. Now, second is to establish a bedtime routine, which can signal your body that it's time to wind down. This could include activities like reading, taking a warm bath, or practicing relaxation exercises. Avoid screens, phones, laptops, TVs for at least 30 minutes before bed, as the blue light emitted by these screens can interfere with melatonin production, the hormone that regulates sleep. Now, your bedroom should be a sanctuary for sleep. Make sure your room is dark, quiet, and at a comfortable temperature. Consider using earplugs or an eye mask or white noise machine if noise or light is a problem for you. And lastly, or one of the last tips, is be mindful of what you consume before bed. Avoid large meals, caffeine, and alcohol close to your bedtime. While alcohol might make you feel sleepy initially, it can actually interfere with your ability to stay asleep. Now, exercise is also a great way to improve sleep quality, but try to avoid vigorous activity right before bed as it can make it harder to wind down. And of course, if you're struggling with chronic sleep issues, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Sleep disorders like insomnia, sleep apnea, and restless leg syndrome are treatable, and addressing them can drastically improve the quality of your life. Now, as I wrap up today's episode, I want to thank you all for joining me on this episode of Following Signs. I hope this deep dive into the importance of sleep has given you a better understanding of why it's so crucial to our overall health and well-being. Remember, sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, so make it a priority in your life. Because I, for one, know how people sleeping less has put a pressure on our own lives, because we've often grown up with a stereotype that if you're sleeping only 2 hours a day, that means that you're working really hard versus somebody that sleeps 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day. Well, that's completely not true. In fact, playing into the stereotype is actually hurting your mental health, your ability to make decisions. So maybe consider the fact that because you sleep so well, you can finish your work in less time than it takes the people who are not sleeping to finish that work. So remember, don't feel sorry for yourself or don't feel sad or angry that, oh, I'm sleeping so much. Maybe something's wrong. Maybe I'm just not working hard. Because you know what? This playing into the stereotype is just going to hurt you. So why do you want to do it? Now, of course, I know this episode was a short one, so I promise the next one's going to be really, really long. But I just wanted to get the importance of sleep out there because it's so important. Now, of course, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. And as always, if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore, feel free to reach out. I love the people that have already reached out to me. Now, until next time, sleep well and take care of yourselves. This is your host, Ritu Raparel, signing off.